What is this? What is happening? What we have here is a complete and utter disaster. Are we going for Star Wars? Because I don't like it. I don't know anybody who did like it. Maybe pajama and blankie chic? Maybe that's the direction we're going. What is this nonsense? What is happening? What is this face? Look at her sucking in her cheeks all night long. Look at her do it. The duck facing is embarrassing to watch. I can't take it. It's gross. It's terrible. So not effortless, which is exactly what makes a model a model, is being effortlessly graceful. Meghan's not graceful, and she's very effortful in her attempts at reaching that benchmark of being graceful, and she's not getting anywhere close. It's sad. It's weird. It's gross. The duck facing alone, being over 40 years old, is pathetic. I can't take it. I can't even take myself seriously trying to suck on my cheeks. I can't take it seriously because it's silly. It's a silly thing to do. Her forehead's so shiny. It looks overbuffed. You guys, look how huge her shoes are. Look at the size of these shoes. No wonder she looks like she's gonna fall down. It's terrifying to see her try to walk in these things. Just look at the size of them. I can't get over how huge her shoes look. Ergo, they look ridiculous, and she's walking horribly. Look at how she's clomping about like a dog with shoes on. Okay? They can't walk with shoes on normally, and neither can the Meg with these two big shoes. The worst part of her wannabe acting, her terrible gait and posture and walking like some weird lurch sort of a stride, is the worst part is her duck facing. It's the Zoolander face. It's laughable. It's embarrassing. She has made herself into a joke. Who does this with their face and thinks that they're going to be taken seriously? And who walks like this? Only amateurs. People who are completely out of their league, like the Meg at Paris Fashion Week. She does not belong here. Because she is not a fashionista, she is not a celebrity, and she can't carry the clothes, and she can't walk in her two big shoes. People who have zero awareness show up like the Meg does. This is bad. Hi everybody, I'm Beebs Kelly, and today we must discuss the Meg's recent fashion fails and her very presence at the Paris Fashion Week. I have a scoop to share this weekend as well in an upcoming video, so be sure you're subscribed so you do not miss it. I'm going to break these apart so they are shorter and I can get them out faster to you. And then we will be following up with a fashion edition of Meghan's New York experience very soon. Let's begin with the weird Star Wars outfit, shall we? So, first impressions, the draping of this doesn't seem to vibe nicely with the outfit, especially the fact that this is very straight across here. I just feel like that's kind of awkward with the softness of the fabric of the outfit. I feel like this should have been at some sort of an angle so it didn't look so choppy, because we have a chop here and then we have the hem of the untucked, very sloppily untucked shirt. It just doesn't look right. It makes it look like pajamas to have a shirt like that untucked. And then the hemline of the trousers. So we just have all these horizontal divisions of this outfit that are ruining the attempts at a vertical line that the draping was trying to give, if that makes sense. The draping of this cape situation is meant to give her more of a vertical line. But because it has a horizontal, just perfectly horizontal, rather than like a diagonal hemline, and then her shirt is untucked, we have another horizontal line, and then there's the hem of her trousers, of course, naturally. Mainly, it's the combination of this horizontal line and the one of the hem of her shirt. It's breaking up her vertical line, therefore cancels each other out. We have no elongation to her frame that would have helped her look a little bit more elegant and sophisticated. It was ruined. The effect was ruined. And I have a theory why. I think that the Meg paired up this cape situation with this two-piece top and trouser and that they were not originally designed to go together for many reasons, because the fabric textures are different and the tones of the fabric is different. So it looks like a whiter white, a lighter, more pure white. That's also satiny, so it's got a sheen to it for the draping, the cape situation. And then the two-piece is more matte and a little bit more off-white. And so they don't photograph as the same, and they look off. They look like they don't go together. So I would assume Meghan took a cape that was meant to go with a different garment and paired it with this two-piece that was meant to be worn differently. It was terrible. It's a horrible pairing. It doesn't photograph well, and I think any reasonable design team sending this option over to Meghan would have taken into consideration that it's going to be photographed, and therefore would not have paired these two things together, because just the difference in texture of the fabric, and one of them being much more luminous and whatnot than the other, is going to photograph as mismatched, as not cohesive. If they were the exact same fabric, this would have been a little bit better, but they're not. This was custom, so that can mean a few different things. It could mean that the Meg requested something like this and the design house was willing to make it for her, or it could have been that she was sent a few options, which is the most likely in this scenario, that she was sent a handful of options and she just chose from the rack that she got. And I would imagine for Meghan, it was probably a maximum of 4 options, because typically you're sent just a few pieces unless you have a stylist. If you're like Zendaya and you have La Roche to style you, or you just have a stylist, then you might get your hands on more pieces, something a little bit more bespoke, or something that's got a similar aesthetic to something that you really vibe in, or matches something that you're doing like in your career, or is just a little bit more top tier styles. Typically, design houses will offer stylists dibs before just random celebrities, unless of course it's an ambassadorship, in which case they prioritize ambassadorships and then stylists, because stylists build relationships with design houses. That's one of their biggest jobs, and one of the biggest assets to having a stylist is the relationships they form with various design houses and people who work there. And so of course, naturally, stylists are going to get their hands on stuff that's a little bit better and a little bit more fresh. And also stylists can help you get things custom and tailored and really fitted perfectly and laying perfectly, and they can tape it down for you and make it polished and perfect. If you're just Meghan, you don't get any of those benefits, and then you end up looking ridiculous. We can infer that Meghan picked this off of a rack of probably like 3 to 4, because like I said, she's not some big A-lister, she's not model-esque, so she wasn't going to get a big selection to pick from of like 6 to 12 pieces. No, Meg probably had access to maybe 3, maximum of 4 options sent over from Balenciaga, and she, I think, paired up the cape and the two-piece thinking she was genius. Clearly just showing her lack of knowledge of clothing and being on a red carpet and what it takes to be photographed well. Because these fabrics don't have the same texture and luminosity, they do not photograph well together. And in person, they might have looked close enough in shade and tone of white, but on camera they don't. It was a big mistake pairing these two together. It's just awful. The only thing I can say that's a positive is the trousers are not so wide leg, they look ridiculous. Like, Meghan, left to her own devices, chooses the biggest of GMPs possible. The largest giant man pants she can possibly find is what she goes with. And they just look foolish. They look so stupid. And they also shorten her and widen her and make her look incredibly messy. The way we saw with the Time 100 outfit. It was just so terrible, and she looked so awful. And these trousers are not overly voluminous, so that's good. And they are hemmed, at least appropriately here, so that's good. And the cape is not dragging on the floor, at least not too awful much, so that's good. But like I said, these things don't go together. And the untucked shirt is giving pajama. It's giving messy, unkempt. It looks sloppy as all get out. Additionally, the cuffs, as you can see, are loose around her wrists. And so we have some folding up of the sleeve here, and it's eating her hand, which makes it look more messy and more ill-fitting, more sloppy. Because these cuffs are not the type that are meant to eat your hand. Of course, we have those. Those can be fun and cool and look neat in an outfit when it's on purpose and intentional, but this does not look intentional at all. Also, for Meghan, who has not the longest neck, you know, if you're going to wear something with this much volume right here, you kind of need a neck like a giraffe. You need one of those long, model-esque necks like Keira Knightley. Nice, long, beautiful, elegant neck. Or all the models. Long neck, tall frame, strong vertical lines to elongate up out of this draping across here. It's making Meghan look more cluttered, more stuffy. And then the hairstyle, although an updo is required with something like this, it's not giving her more energy and it's not giving her more vertical line and it's not lifting her up out of this. If she were someone else entirely and could pull it off, I would have given her this sort of a hairstyle, something that was playful and a little bit retro because the silhouette of the outfit is more modern. Like it has a classic vibe to it, but it is more modern. And so something like this sort of a pony made it more fresh feeling, but this feels old and stuffy. You know, somebody, like I said, who had a little bit more pep in their fashion step could have done a cool ponytail that leaned a tiny bit retro to give some contrast to the outfit. So I'm having a hard time coming up with a better hairstyle for her, but I can say this doesn't seem to help anything because this didn't feel like it was very interesting and it didn't really lean into any sort of a style itself. It's just kind of the most low effort bun you could possibly choose. It doesn't have any semblance of style itself. It's just an anticlimactic punctuation to the outfit to just have this rather sterile, boring, try-hard bun. But perhaps most importantly, this whole thing looks try-hard. And that's really down to Meghan's energy and the way she's carrying herself. Like, look at how awkward this photograph is right here. Who stands like that in a picture? It's like she's completely forgotten all of her supposed, alleged modeling and acting training that would have told her not to stand this way. Overall, I would say the draping of this did not help to enhance her vertical line, in part because of the breaking up of the horizontal lines, as I said, but also because of the room in the top and trouser. There was too much volume overall. The shirt volume and the sleeve volume, how much room there was in that shirt, that's what makes it look like a pajama shirt because it's loose. It's got room. It's going to be comfortable, which is nice, but like it doesn't look that great. Combined with the draping coming down, it just kind of all muddled together and just looked like a big voluminous mess. And that's why people are saying she looks like she wore a huge sheet, because it all just moofs together and doesn't look good. And also the untucked looseness of the top just sends way too casual of a vibe to be paired with this more sophisticated draping and cape. Being untucked and being sloppy and the cuffs having room, enhancing the messiness, it's just too much. A tight cuff would have controlled it more. So would have maybe like tucking in the top, but at the same time, I bet those trousers are kind of high rise, and that wouldn't have looked good on Meg to have, you know, GMPs, pants meet boobs. We can't have that. So I just wish the top had more shape. Something like a little bit of a peplum seam to kind of give her a faux waistline and create a little bit more structure so that the dramatic and sophisticated draped cape situation could shine without making her look like she's just carrying around a bunch of sheets and is overwhelmed. And the shoes, they're way too big. This looks stupid. Anytime you're wearing these types of shoes, I get having a little bit of room for swelling if you're going to be on your feet that much, and for comfort. If it's more comfortable for you to be a half size up, fine. This is not a half size. This is at least a size and a half to 2 sizes too big. And both times she went out, It looked like she couldn't walk in the shoes that are clearly much too big for her. That should be embarrassing. Look how awkward her walk and her poses are. She's not a model, we know this, but this proves it. She could have and should have skipped the photo calls. If this really was about quietly supporting Pier Paolo, if she was trying to just hook him, reel him in to be a fashion contact because she desperately wants to be sponsored by some sort of a fashion house so that she can feel fancier, it would have gone down a lot better to just quietly do so and skip these types of photo calls, because let's just look and compare her to others who showed up dressed by Balenciaga. Bigger star power, better photos, except this one lady. That dress is eating her alive. Someone help her. But look at Ruth. Look at these other celebrities. It proves two things. One, that the Meg had last pick of an outfit out of all these people. It almost looks like a totally different designer. And two, that she is completely and entirely out of her league here. I also think that this might have been a little bit of a last-minute arrangement. Nicole Kidman and Michelle Yeoh were two big names who gave Balenciaga a second chance after their disastrous, scandalous, terrible choices in 2022 and beforehand, signing on as ambassadors in 2023. It seems like that contract may have come to an end as they have changed creative directors, which is a natural progression of things. It would make sense that if you were brought on as an ambassador under one creative director, you might not stick around for the new one, and they often want to make it feel fresh, so they often do choose new ambassadors. But both these ladies being absent, notably seemingly ending their ties to Balenciaga, means that there was a big gap in huge names and star power for Balenciaga. Like Nicole was seen at the Chanel show, for example, and Nicole is very tall, very model-esque. She can carry these types of crazy outfits. Meghan cannot. And so for whatever reason, Pier Paolo succumbed to Meg's butt kissing and schmoozing to weasel her way into Balenciaga's orbit. But we'll talk more about why that is problematic for the Meg in our next video, so be sure you're subscribed so you don't miss it. The point is here, though, that she appears to have been a backup choice because her outfit doesn't look custom. It doesn't look like it was tailored and fit to her. As I said, the cuffs are a big giveaway. Hemming the length of trouser and a cape like this is pretty easy, pretty fast. Like, literally most of us could hem our trousers if we really needed to. At home, all by ourselves with minimal training. It's one of the easiest things to do to tailor your clothing to fit you better. But things like under the armpit, the amount of space across here and the volume of the shirt, the cuffs, takes more time to tailor that and is not as easy, and you kind of need the person there for it. And so the fact that Meghan's outfit is more ill-fitting than these other celebrities that we are looking at here who attended this show and were dressed by Balenciaga tells me that Meghan was perhaps a last-minute choice and got the leftovers that the stylists and the bigger names did not pick up. Because it does not look perfectly polished like the others do and photograph ready. These are perfectly tailored to them. Meg's is not. So perhaps they had someone back out or simply had the room to allow her to come in a desperate attempt to get press. I mean, we know Balenciaga is in the gutter at the moment, so they are a little bit desperate. But if it was planned as far in advance as all these other people, then we would have seen better fit, better tailoring, tighter cuffs, a more polished presentation on Meghan than we did. But let's move on to the black outfit, which had more appealing draping across the front. I actually quite like the way the front looks for Meghan here. That little bit of asymmetry and the combination of the softer fabric and the soft draping is perfect for Meghan. It helps to reduce the width of her shoulder line. It draws the eye away from her lack of a well-defined waist, and is very balancing to her figure overall. The only thing that we don't address in this outfit, the only style concern not addressed, is the long lanky limbs. But as I've said before, you can't address every single style concern in every single outfit. So, the fact that two of them are addressed, the shoulders and the waist, great. And the short torso. So 3 style concerns are addressed, and the only one that's not is the long lanky limbs. So, that's fine. However, I didn't love the open back on this because it seemed to mess with her already poor posture. She was kind of flaring her back because it was backless. So she was like pulling her shoulders forward and outwards to, I guess, make her back look better, she thought. I don't know. She was going like this a lot. I don't know if it makes sense what I'm trying to say, but she was like pulling, like this is a normal posture, and she was doing this with her back in the black dress. And like pulling her shoulders up and forward, I assume because it was backless, which was super weird. Like that's not what you should do. You could look at literally any of the supermodels to see why you shouldn't do that. And you won't see them doing that because duh, you keep your posture normal. So that was odd. But the asymmetrical draping of the front was nice on this one. The shoes were still terrible. They were the same shoes as before. She can't walk in them like a normal person. Like, look at the size of them. Apart from it being a hazard and looking like silly having them that big and just like, duh, it's impractical, it makes her feet look ginormous to have that large of a shoe. Like they're already dramatic pointed toes. They're already going to elongate your foot more than a rounded toe shoe or some other type of shoe. Duh, obviously. So then buying it like 2 full sizes higher or getting it 2 full sizes bigger as well, it's insane. Her feet look huge. It's crazy. You don't see any of the other celebrities doing this. Like, look at Zendaya. She's my favorite example for shoes because she's wearing the So Kate heels all the time. Same shoe, different finishes in literally all of her red carpet appearances because this was La Roche's genius idea. They are very high stilettos, very hard to walk in, and an infamously challenging shoe. But Zendaya carries them perfectly. She walks in them so insanely well. She makes it look easy. It's never awkward. Her posture's never hunching, and they're challenging shoes to wear. But you never see her with this massive gap at the back. A tiny bit of wiggle room, perhaps, but quite frankly, I typically don't see any wiggle room in Zendaya's shoes. For good reason, because a good strong fit keeps you more secure in your shoe, and helps you walk better and distribute your weight better, etc. So Zendaya is an example of how to do it right and is doing it in one of the most challenging shoes known to celebrities. Meg is doing it wrong, like just plain and simple. Need I say more? Look at this difference. As for the makeup look, clearly Meg was trying to go for fresh faced, but when you look closely, like in these pictures, you can see the foundation sitting atop her skin. You can see the products layered on top, which makes sense. To be perfectly fair, if you're going to be photographed, these are the days where you might want to wear foundation. If you don't typically wear like a full coverage foundation, if you're going to be photographed, that's the day you want to do it because the lights are harsh and aggressive, and they are going to pull forward any redness or uneven skin tone or coloration in your skin. They're going to bring it out. So starting with a nice smooth canvas of foundation is the way to go. But the overall look was a decent attempt at fresh face makeup. However, I think she would have benefited a great deal from some mattifying powder because the shine on her forehead was a bit much. And there's a handful of mistakes. Like there's way too much highlighter. Meghan, I feel like, often goes in and adds a lot more highlighter after the fact. Or Daniel just puts way too much highlighter on Meghan because she has so much highlighter and she's super shiny. It's too much. It leans into overdone and away from glowy, radiant, natural looking skin and into just really intense. When you see this much highlighter and stuff, it's too much. It's no longer a glow. It's like obvious at that point. A glowy look is great, but when you overdo it, you look excessively shiny like the Meg, and it no longer looks like, oh wow, you're glowing, your skin is so beautiful. It looks like, oh, you put tons of shiny highlighter on your face. And the secondhand embarrassment from her bashing her nose into Pier Paolo's sunglasses, the pawing at people, the sucking of the cheeks is peak. She should be mortified. It's clear that she is an outsider in this circle and really wants to be in it. And she's trying way too hard. And that is exactly why she will never nose her way in to the fashion industry. Leave your thoughts and be sure you subscribe so you do not miss more on her Paris visit and the New York City trip coming up as soon as I can get the videos out to you. Thank you for joining me today. I hope you have a happy day ahead and I'll see you next time. Bye!